Hi, and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's quick review for Jessica Jones Season 1. This video is a part of a series of videos where I give a quick, spoiler-free review of a show currently airing. These videos are aimed more for those who may not have seen the show yet, but those who have will know more of what I'm talking about. This video is for Season 1 of Jessica Jones. So Jessica Jones is the next in a series of Marvel Netflix shows that began earlier in 2015 with Daredevil. I'm not sure if it's intended to have a second season or if the showrunners even know if they're going to do a second season. However, there are several more Marvel Netflix shows planned, such as Luke Cage, who was the main character in this series, and eventually all these characters who have their own shows will come together in a show called The Defenders. So it will be similar to what Marvel did in the movies with the Avengers, but with Netflix shows instead. And to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the Marvel movies, so at first I wasn't really interested in watching any of these. However, I had heard a lot of good things about Daredevil, and when this show was released, it seemed everyone and their mother was ranting and raving about this show. But the thing that really sold me was when I learned that Kristen Ritter, who played Jane on Season 2 of Breaking Bad, would be playing the lead role, as I really liked that character on that show. And it almost seemed like she was playing the same character again here, but with superpowers, so I was sold. So Jessica Jones is a show about the title character who is a private investigator, but it turns out that she has superpowers in the form of superhuman strength, and many of her friends claim she has the ability to fly, but she insists it's more like controlled falling. The series mostly centers around her having to face a man from her past, Kilgrave, who has the ability to control people's minds, as you know, he can force them to do things against their will, and basically they do whatever he says. She was once under his control for a period of time before finally breaking through, and she grows increasingly apprehensive as he begins to re-enter her life. So as to the question of whether I like the show, the answer would have to be yes. But as to the question of did I think the show live up to the hype, I'm going to have to say no. It seemed the show was being ridiculously overhyped, appearing on many people's best lists, and a lot of critics were raving about it, but honestly I didn't think it was all that great. However, it did make my best shows of 2016 list, but at number 10. And I probably watched a total of about 17 shows that year, so it's not a huge accomplishment. There were still 9 shows I thought were better than this one that many critics would disagree with. But I did really enjoy this show. I really liked the character of Jessica Jones, as she personally appealed to me as someone who was very apathetic and had a carefree attitude. I also like when shows center around a strong female character like this one, which she certainly was. The show had a great slow build to it as well, as you were slowly introduced to who this character was and got to understand how she ticked before the plot of the season fully kicked in. However, it did kind of feel like her superpowers were tacked on to me. They didn't seem to be used that much, and many times I thought she was defeated too easily, so honestly, her superpowers came off as kind of lame. They weren't as present or as badass as, say, Daredevil's was. And there were a couple of references to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and particularly the Avengers, so audiences could be aware that they were set in the same universe, but these all felt really tacked on and out of place as well. There was also the character of Luke Cage, who also will be getting his own show eventually. I thought he was fine. I like how they didn't overuse him and we would go several episodes without seeing him, although I'd still call him a main character. I wonder if Jessica Jones will feature as prominently in his show. If so, it's kind of going to be like a second season of Jessica Jones. If not, it will seem a bit out of place that she suddenly disappeared from his life. Anyway, his superpowers also felt tacked on at first, but I think they did become more prominent towards the end of the season. And then there was the main villain, Kilgrave, played by Doctor Who's David Tennant, whom most of the critics were ranting and raving the most about, and many are calling him one of TV's best villains. I certainly can't fault the actor. He certainly did a really great job, and at times Kilgrave was a really great villain, but overall I wasn't quite as impressed as many others seemed to be, just because at times he came off as too powerful, and not in the building tension way that the Kingpin did in Daredevil, but more of a boring, stretched out kind of way. In fact, I would say my main complaint about the season was that the storyline with Kilgrave did seem a bit stretched out, and the ending wasn't nearly as satisfying as it could have been. But all in all, I had a fun time watching this show, and if they do another season, I'm totally in. So my rating for Jessica Jones Season 1 is a 7, very good. I loved her character and seeing her interactions with other various characters, from the wacky people that lived in her apartment building to her best friend Trish, and it was interesting seeing her deal with her trauma from her time with Kilgrave and having to confront that again head on. It was a great character show. That being said, some things like pacing and her superpowers could have been handled a bit better. So that's it for my quick review on Jessica Jones Season 1. Be sure to check out my channel for many more TV show reviews. I do tons of videos on Game of Thrones as we count down to Season 6, and we'll be doing weekly episode reviews of shows like The Expanse, The X-Files, The Walking Dead, and Better Call Saul. So be sure to subscribe so you can keep up with all that, and be sure to check us out on Facebook as well, and thanks a lot for watching.